We live. What up, people? It's your boy, the host with the most. I do not brag or boast, and I'm coming to you guys live from coast to coast. It's your boy. I'm Chris the Don One. Welcome to a fabulous rendition of Based on a True Story podcast. As always, rate, comment, subscribe. Share this with a friend, family, as well as a follower. Let's get this channel lit in the YouTube algorithm. You heard me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me clearly? Y'all do. Yes, y'all can. Yes, y'all can. All right. I really do appreciate everyone that's subscribing to the channel. I really do appreciate everyone that's sharing, liking, and even commenting below. I really do appreciate that from the bottom of my heart. Don't forget, if you want to, hit the join membership button, you can do that at your leisure. Okay, so without further ado, story time, story time, story time. I'm gonna tell you the time I witnessed two DJs get beat up by a rapper. Two DJs got beat up by a rapper. Now I wasn't physically there, but it happened live, and I was listening. Well, I was listening to the the radio, the show on the radio. Man, this thing was wild. Okay, so first and foremost, let's get into it. Story time, story time. So where I'm from, Nashville, Tennessee, is Music City, USA, but it's mainly known for country music, country and western music. Okay, this city is real big and heavy on country music. Now, there are some other music that's here, but it's not as popular as country music. You have jazz, you have R&B, you have soul, you have rock and roll, you have punk, and yes, you do have rap. Okay, so I was ear hustling on a budget. Okay, brother broke these days. I'm living with my parents. Okay, didn't discover my first job until much later. Okay, that was during close to my last year of high school. So I had to get in where I could fit in. I couldn't you know pay for streaming services or pay for subscription services or pay for music, and we just didn't have the capabilities to listen to real popular radio stations like Funk Master Flex. Funk Master Flex was pretty big in rap and hip hop. He's pretty big. Big Tigger, so those type of personalities, you know, we just didn't have access to those. And when you talk about the radio station that we do have here, they just copy and paste radio station. They just basically, put the music on, and that's pretty much it. Every now and then you hear the DJ, but the DJ ain't got no personality. They just, spinning records. That's pretty much what they doing. Okay, there was, no persona, no personality. So no, we didn't have a Funk Master Flex here. We didn't have a Big Tigger here. We didn't have an Angela Yee here or Charlemagne the God, the Breakfast Club. You know, we didn't have none of that stuff. So all our DJs were local DJs that were in these radio stations. But what's up? What's up? How you doing? How you doing, Brad? How you doing? I'm chilling, homeboy. I'm chilling. All right. So I was balling on a budget. Okay, I didn't have enough money for Sirius XM satellite radio and all this bull ish. Okay, so you had your radio stations during the weekday, but they didn't really cater to a lot of rap. Anything that's popular, they'll put it in the rotation. But like out the cradle rap, hardcore rap, underground rap, there was really no place, particularly on the radio, that you can go to and listen to that type of music. Okay, so if you haven't bought it, that's the only access you had. Okay, other than going to shows or going to talent shows or going to the club or to the skating rink, that was the only way. That's the only way you had access to ear hustle some hardcore rap. So I was bummed out. So it was one day I'm messing around with the radio station, and I discovered two radio stations. Okay, one of them came from Fisk University, and they normally play like gospel music, and they'll play commercial R&B, but not that much rap. Plus, it's AM. AM is like the clean version of FM. They're not gonna be hardcore about it, okay? And even with FM radio, it was only so far that they was going to take it. All right. So that was the first radio station, and it only came on the weekends. But on Sunday, it plays all day, nothing but gospel music. Okay, so that was Fisk radio station, and it was in a college campus. Okay, so I'm saying to myself, okay, so if Fisk has a radio station, what about TSU? What about these other colleges? So I started messing around with the radio, and then I found TSU. Now TSU, they claim fame. They really telecast or played on the radio, like sports, like TSU basketball, women's, men and women, football, volleyball. Okay, they'll dabble in music a little bit, but not too heavy. All right, and you could tell they was real amateurish. Okay, so that was TSU. So I'm still messing with the dial, trying to find a radio station, and I found the radio station that had everything that I've been looking for in a radio station. This radio station played hardcore rap. It played popular rap. It played commercial rap, and they played the curse words in it. I'm like, what the heck? So they were literally cussing on the radio station. Okay, so hardcore underground rap. They didn't play the clean version. They played the explicit version. Okay, so I'm going like, man, I like this radio station, and this radio station resided in Vanderbilt University. And I don't know if y'all been to Vanderbilt University, but I consider Vanderbilt University like Harvard or Yale. Okay, and I'm not saying that white people don't shouldn't be listening to music. I'm just saying it's kind of weird hearing the N word throughout the telecast, and it's coming from the Vanderbilt airways. Now, I'm pretty cool, like the DJs. I had no issues with the DJs. Okay, so I met these DJs, a time or two. So I'm kind of familiar with them. Plus, I could call them. So, like, if there was a certain song I wanted them to play, I can call them, shoot the breeze, and then hang up. But I was living with my parents. I didn't want to say what I wanted to say on the phone because I didn't want to disrespect my mom or my father. But if I had my own place, I'd be like, yeah, man, play that motherfucking gangster shit, okay? And these two dudes are cool, okay? But if you, like, on the radio, they sound so cool, so hip, but you can tell that they like two white dudes, all right? But when you meet them in person, they're like nerds. They look like nerds to me. They don't look hip-hop. They didn't look like they was part of the culture. But, that was, you have to understand in that, when we was listening to music, everybody, the culture welcomed everybody with open arms, even white people, okay? So, I had no issues with them, okay? And I can still remember, I don't remember their names, but I remember what they had on. Like, one of the DJs, he had on, like, a tractor hat and one of those checkerboard shirts, some blue jeans, and I forgot those skating shoes that that Deered Off dude that's on ridiculousness. He has the shoe company. I can't think of the name of that shoe company that makes these shoes, but he always had a fresh set of those type of sneakers. So I consider him like a skateboarder. So I kept calling him Skateboard, okay? And then the other guy, just straight white, okay? I mean, if you ever wanted the definition of what is a white guy, this guy will be the perfect definition of a white guy. He had khakis on, he had like, sometimes he'll wear Public Enemy, Beastie Boys. Sometimes he'll wear like heavy metal like Van Halen and Motley Crue. That's my first introduction to. That was my first introduction to rock and roll, because like he knew all the rock and roll acts. Okay, Van Halen, he knew all that stuff. Okay, Twisted Sister. So we not gonna take it. No, we're not gonna take it. So I got all my information as far as rock and roll goes by him. Now they never played none of the music, but every now and then when I see them out and about, you know, if he had his radio on, or if he was in by his car, he'll play a mixture of everything, of rap, and he will also play some rock and roll. I thought it was pretty cool. Okay, so these two guys were, every Saturday they'll have their show, and man, they'll be playing all the explicit music. It didn't matter who you wanted to listen to. The Ghetto Boys, Master P, Ice Cube, NWA, Digital Underground. Okay, then that's the classic hardcore rap. Spice One, Tupac, Ja Rule. I mean, these guys, 50 Cent. I think the last time I heard them, it was around the 50 Cent era. Okay, so they playing non-stop music. Okay, and everybody embraced them with open arms because the majority of their audience came from Vanderbilt. So thanks for the thumbs up. So of course they're gonna welcome them with open arms. But I was never from Vanderbilt. I'm a hood. I'm a dude from the ghetto. Okay, I just happened to catch this radio station. You dig me? But I appreciated them. I had no issues with them. Had so much no issue with them. I let all my friends know, like, hey man, y'all need to check out this radio station. It's it's coming from Vanderbilt. Man, these two dudes are pretty cool. I done met them. They play all the music that we listen to in the hood, okay? And everybody was cool with them. People that in my hood, they was cool with the radio station. They only had one issue with them. They were white, okay? But that was the only issue with them. Like, damn, I like the music and all, but yo, man, it's kind of corny, white people playing black music. And I'm going like, it doesn't really matter. Music is music. See, I didn't look at people through their skin color. I just look at people for who they are and what they are, not their skin color. Okay, but I understood. A lot of people in the hood, they don't have a good relationship with white people, or whatever. Okay, so they're not going to tell the best stories about white people. Okay, but I thought they was cool. All right, anywho, all right. So it was one Saturday, I'm chilling, listening to the programming. I'm listening to the programming, and I'm watching television, but I had the volume turned down on the television. So I'm listening to them, but I'm watching television. Okay. Hey, what's up? What's up? What's up? Rich. How you doing, Rich? So I'm up there listening to the program. Like, I'm one of their fans. I'm one of their biggest fans. Okay, particularly out of the hood, and they kind of gave me some, they felt like, hey, they knew me. Hey, good morning back to you. Good morning. So, they knew me, all right, and they felt like I was the closest I was close representative to hip hop. And if I said that they cool, and if I'm down with them, then they respect. Then they felt really accomplished of what they were doing, because they were heavily embedded in hip hop. It was, and in rap. This is not no thing that a fad, that a little hobby or anything like that. They really loved hip hop. Okay, they just hey, look, they white. So what if they white? Okay, that's my opinion about it. Okay, but they respected hip hop. They didn't disrespect it. And the music and all. All right, so now they'll have an hour. They'll play for like 7 hours in a day, and they dedicated 1 hour to amateur hour. So local acts or local rappers will play their demo on their airwaves, okay? And the local artists that they brought to the radio station, I had never heard of them before. But when you listen to their music, it's political rap, it's hardcore rap, it's gangster rap, it's street rap, okay? Sometimes conscious rap, sometimes educational rap, okay? But I wasn't tripping on the conscious rap and the educational rap. My thing was, okay, and I wasn't tripping on none of it. But here's my thing. It was like this hardcore act. I forgot the name. And they were cussing. I mean, they was cussing worse than NWA, they got bitches in there, and they got every cuss word in there except the N word. Okay, so Skateboard said, "Hey, we got the group that made that song. If you like it, call in, tell us that you like it. It's called what the hour called? It's called Love It or Hate It, something like that, All right, and they got the artist that made the song. Okay, so they will talk to the artist, and the funny thing about it is when you listen to the artist on their song, you just assume that they rap. Like, you assume that they black, they from the ghetto, they're speaking what they see. Okay. See, a lot of rappers, they speak what they see and what they know. So I'm thinking to myself, okay, this is their environment. They're rapping about their environment. You feel me? So when Skateboard put dude on the microphone, dude had like a UK accent. Hey, good day, hey, good day, man. How y'all doing, man? Hope y'all enjoyed the song. It's a very deep root. I mean, he's using all types of mayonnaise words. Okay, so I'm going like it just don't fit right to me. Okay, you talking about shooting up people, selling drugs, this, that, and the third, but when you get on the mic, it just sounds kind of something ain't right. You dig what I'm saying? Because I'm used to when people talk that way, I'm used to when they get on the mic and they start talking, you be like, okay, I understand why they feel this way, or I understand why they say the things that they say. I understand why they do the things what they do. But when you listening to these guys, they so proper. They got proper English. They from the UK. Wasn't really nobody from the hoods that I knew. Now, you got to understand, I'm a young kid. I'm thinking the world begins and ends in Nashville, Tennessee. Okay, when I got a little older and got a little wisdom in me, I find out the world is much bigger than Nashville, Tennessee. And there's other countries besides the United States, okay? But you got to understand, at that particular time, I didn't know all that, okay? I had a small idea that there was other countries because I went to school and stuff. But when you actually listen to people from other cultures, from other parts of the world, you be like, man, y'all got hoods in the UK, y'all got hoods in England, there are hoods everywhere, okay? So I don't know if he's perpetrating, he's faking the funk. I just got to go along until someone tells me anything different. I have to go along what he says, okay? So, and, thanks for the thumbs up. So, that lasted for like a year. And I'm going to tell you the day that it ended. They had some dude on there. And this dude, when, they introduced him, and I forgot the rapper name. And he's up here, they play this music. And he's playing about, he's talking about selling drugs, beating up bitches, popping it out the trunk. I mean, the terminology in this song, I'm saying to myself, man, it's gonna be fucked up if we play this song. And it's a good song, and I'm bobbing my head to it. It's a good song. I ain't got no issue with the song, but it'd be kind of fucked up if they put him on the mic and he's from Tokyo, okay? Because this dude was spitting. Like, he's really about that life, that he's really about these hoods, okay? So they, got him on the mic, It was a black dude. This is the first time they ever had a black dude on their radio station. I'm not saying that they prejudiced or anything. It's just a black dude that I can, identify and understand. I'm not saying that the other people I didn't understand. I'm just saying he's more familiar because he's talking about stuff that goes on and affects my hood. Okay, so dude, like, talking and dude talking, giving them some idea of who and what he is, and this, that, and the third. The interview was pretty tight. So they asked him, so they put his song on the thing. Do y'all hate it or love it? Everybody loved it. Everybody had no problem with it. All right. So dude saying his final stuff, and he, says, okay, I see y'all later. My album comes out. He's doing promo. My album comes out in 2 months. I'll be with another. I'll probably bring the next single over here. Man, y'all some real cool dudes. Y'all down for the culture, this, that, and the third. Okay. So dude walks out the studio, and then they start playing more music. Okay. I'm saying like 30 minutes after the interview, Skateboard and other dude, they started talking about dude. And they talking about how, the one thing, it's like some people when you talk about people, some people may take it a certain way. It's not like disrespecting them, but when you say things, sometimes you gotta check yourself before you actually say what's on your mind. But Skateboard, they've been speaking so freely, they started talking about dude. They started talking about how, they couldn't understand him, and the type of slang he was using. They didn't know what he was talking about. They was just, it wasn't no diss or anything, but I can understand why somebody would perceive it as a diss. And then they made a couple of jokes about it, okay? Everybody's laughing about it, all right? So, dude got kind of offended about it, and he calls the radio station, all right? So, he's talking to them like, hey, man, that's kind of like disrespectful. Like, if y'all had all that energy to say all that, why y'all didn't say it in my face? Because where I'm from, if you have a disagreement with somebody, or, you don't like somebody, be man enough to say it in their face. And then, look, dude, these two dudes are from the suburbs. They don't understand what you saying about energy and all this stuff. So they going like, no, chill, it's no big deal, they're trying to explain themselves. And as they trying to explain themselves, they made it worse, all right? So dude said, I tell you what, I'm going to come back there and see if y'all will say that fly shit in my face. Now, Skateboard and other dude, they're looking at it as, ooh, okay, look, I'll be honest with you. Sometimes they be goofy sometimes. So they're in their goofy bag right now. So they trying to act goofy, this, that, and that. Because they're thinking he's not going to come back. That's what, in their mind, in their logic, they're thinking he ain't going to come back. All right? So, they dude hangs up. And it's been like an hour. So I'm saying, like, it's an hour. He ain't coming back. He just threatening them. It's no big deal. Okay, so I'm up here listening to music. Next thing I know, they take a break, and they're talking to one another. They're talking to each other about the upcoming events for next weekend. All right? And as they're talking about this, you hear somebody busting through the door, talking about, now say all that stuff what y'all was saying on the phone. And then they're up there going, they're trying to calm the situation down. They're going like, oh, no, we'll just, no, I think you are taking this wrong. And they're trying to explain themselves. And I guess when they tried to explain themselves, dude got even more mad. So he whooped Skateboard's ass. So all I can hear is a bunch of commotion, a bunch of yelling. I hear a bunch of crying. I hear stuff. You can clearly hear stuff being thrown. I'm hearing it's like World War III, and I'm like, God damn, So for what I gather, he whooped Skateboard's ass, and his partner was just standing there. All right. Now I don't know about look, you want to do one. You need to figure out what you want to do. You want to help your partner and fight dude, make it a 2-on-1, or run up out the studio. But the one thing you shouldn't do is just stand there, all right? You just stand there. I guess he's just froze, okay? So he whooped Skateboard's ass. And then next thing I know, it was a, like nothing. It was just silence for like 10 seconds. The next thing I know, I hear some more commotion. So apparently, he whooped the other dude's ass. Beat both of their asses. All right. So then after he got through beating their asses, he talked about how this radio station's fake and they stealing from the culture and this, that, and the third. Beating his chest. As you should. You whoop the shit out of two dudes. All right. But see, these two dudes are nerds. It ain't like these two dudes was gonna put that type of work on you. All right. It's not like two dudes from the hood. I don't think would have had a chance on a 1 versus 2 from two dudes from the hood because they would have both whooped your ass. Okay, you know what I'm saying? So, he's up there, yelling at them. Next thing I know, the door shuts, and he done left the studio. All right. So next thing I hear a bunch of sniffling and this, that, and the third, and crying. Talking about, man, I don't even know why he, was all that mad. We was, they just a bunch of crying and shit like that. I feel like, look, it was a misunderstanding. I don't think that they was disrespecting dude, but I can understand why dude was feeling a certain kind of way. I feel like if there was somebody else there, try to explain it probably would have explained it a little bit better, and maybe he would have cooled that dude down. But dude was pissed off because he took it as disrespect. Okay, but to me, that's the most funniest, chaotic thing I have ever heard on the radio station. That's the first time I heard a fight break out in the radio station. Now, the next weekend, I'm thinking, all's forgiven. The week's over with. They're going to put this behind them and they're going to continue to just do what they normally do. All right. So next weekend, they're not even playing hip hop no more. So apparently this done got all the way up to the dean at Vanderbilt, and now they're playing opera music. And from that day on till now, that's all they've been playing, opera music. They'll play some Vanderbilt football. Occasionally they'll play some Vanderbilt basketball. But as far as hip hop, no. Classical music, that's all they've been playing nonstop. I haven't heard from those two guys in a while. Now, word is that Boy had a black guy that lasted like 3 or 4 days. Okay. And the other guy that was his friend, they no longer friends no more. And now his parents told him to not hang around this boy. And now he don't even listen to hip hop no more. He all the way into rock and roll. And low key, I kind of feel like he was invested more in rock and roll than hip hop. Like I said, when I met them in person, they some cool dudes. I had no issues with them. It was just they was not what I expected. You dig what I'm saying? I was expecting something else, but hey, I welcome them with open arms. At least they doing something for the hip hop culture. Okay, so yeah, that was a crazy, wild story, and it's all 1,000% true. I did not. There's no fiction in this. This is all real. And like I said, last time I met them, I was at the I was at I think it was Target or a record store, a vintage record store, and I saw a skateboard. I mean, he told me the aftermath of all that, and that's how I got all the other information, telling me that Vanderbilt don't want, they're no longer going to play hip hop music. I don't know if they don't play hip hop music now. If you go to Vanderbilt's campus or if you check out Vanderbilt's, I don't know if they have a radio station, but if they have, I don't know, because when I was listening to them for I would sometimes check it for the next couple of years, and that's all they would play is just classical music, football games and old basketball highlights and things of that nature. They done with it. Okay. Matter of fact, I think they converted that radio station into like a sports talk show. Okay, so I don't know. Okay, but yeah, that was a crazy, crazy, wild story. I really do appreciate everyone that was watching, was listening to this. I appreciate all you guys that hit the like button, subscribe to my YouTube channel. Man, I forgot about that story. That story didn't register. I had to pull that story out the back of my brain. I don't forgot that story. I forgot that even existed. Okay, and have I ever seen them? I haven't. Last time I seen them was like I said when I was a kid, and when I was like in high school, like sophomore in high school. I thought that was the last time I saw them when I was in school, and ever since then I haven't seen them since. I don't even know what the fuck they're doing. Okay, have no idea what the fuck they doing. All right, but I hope everything's good with them. But like I said, they were like honor students, and yeah, his parents told the other guy like, hey, we don't want you messing with that hip hop because it's getting you in all this trouble. Okay. And that was around that time, hip hop was given a bad name. Okay. Because they blamed hip hop for everything. For violence, for black on black violence, for violence in general, for domestic violence, for drug use. They just blamed rap music for just everything. Cancer. They blame cancer on rap music. Hey, that's why people getting that's why people getting cancer, because they listen to hip hop. Okay. So yeah. All right. So I gotta get up out of here. It's your boy, the host with the most. I do not brag a boast. I'm coming to you guys live from coast to coast. I'm gone. I'll see you guys next tomorrow with another fabulous edition of Based on a True Story podcast. All right, it's your host, your moderator. Oh, Dark Vader, it's my birthday today. Happy birthday to Dark. Happy birthday to Dark. Happy birthday to Dark Vader. Happy birthday to Dark. I'm sorry, my brother. Sorry, my brother, I missed that. I hope you still watching. All right, so I'm up out of here. I'll talk to you guys later. Deuce.